Hello my friends, welcome to Canadian Immigration Channel. I was asked a few times to speak about transition from temporary visa towards work visa in Canada and how to do it right. So what we decided to do is just split this video into two separate parts. The first one would be general, how to do it right, like how to prepare for it and how the whole process, I would say, looks in general. Now, if you're lucky enough, if you manage to get yourself a temporary resident visa to Canada, if you manage to cross the border, you have to remember one thing: you are not allowed to work in Canada yet, but you are allowed to look for a job. That's definitely not the words which immigration officer at the border wants to know and hear from you, but keep in mind that you are allowed to send your resume, you are allowed to approach employers, and you're allowed to discuss with them your potential future employment. Now, if an employer is interested in your skills, in your knowledge, he or she might consider sponsoring you. By sponsoring means that the employer would have to apply to Human Resources and Development Canada, stating that the person with such skill set, I would say, was not found anywhere after extensive advertisement. So the employer would have to demonstrate that he or she did everything possible to find an employee amongst Canadians, permanent residents of Canada, but then the employer was not successful. It does not mean that the employer is allowed to pay you less. The employer is not allowed to say that you speak Hindi, you speak Punjabi or whatever language, and that's why they prefer you. No, it has to be equal opportunity for everyone, but somehow the employer was not able to find such persons. So say, for example, he or she needs an electrician with 15 years of work experience to perform the job duties, and there was absolutely no one with such skill set except for you, and you as a foreigner is the person that the employer wants to sponsor. Now, if everything is okay, Human Resources and Development Canada will issue a piece of paper called LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment, which states that hiring this foreign worker would not negatively impact Canadian labor market. With this piece of paper, you are allowed to apply for the work visa. There are two ways to approach it. Option number one, you're applying to the nearest visa office without leaving Canada. You could do it in, say, Los Angeles visa office. They will consider your application, and at the end of the day, they will issue you the work visa. Work visa is not the paper which allows you to work in Canada. You would have to go to the border with the States without US visa, so no worries, you don't have to do it. What you will have to do, you'll have to leave Canada, turn around, get back to Canadian immigration officer and ask them, based on that visa, to obtain the work permit. Usually 5 minutes of talking and officers would issue you that work permit. Another option is, without applying to the nearest visa office, you're going straight to the border. This time, conversation with the officer could be unpredictable, could take much longer, around 20-30 minutes, where the officer will test your skills, will probably look at your documents, will assess your case, and if you're lucky enough, an officer would issue you the work permit. That is the piece of paper which allows you to work in Canada. Now, it is absolutely possible to do that with the proper preparation, and with respect to preparation, we'll talk about it in the next video.